The product owners in this situation feel that everything is out of control as soon as something is not being delivered on time. Hi, my name is Daria. Welcome to ScrumMastered video series where I give you practical tips on how to build awesome teams. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the role of a Scrum Master in service of the product owner. The Scrum Guide is pretty clear. As a Scrum Master, you're there to help your product owner be successful, but it still stays pretty vague without giving you exact steps on how to help them. But whatever approach you really choose in supporting your product owner, you can really understand how the product is being managed. And this is where you should be paying close attention to what your product owner does and what he or she says. The role of the product owner is that of managing the product backlog in such a way that it maximizes the value delivered to our customers and stakeholders. That might include things like analyzing customer needs, maybe doing some market research, working closely with stakeholders to understand what is the most important thing and why, as well as collecting and measuring some value metrics. The product owner is there to really understand the product. So they need to own the product backlog, really understand what is part of it and what is not. So they need to be able to speak the business language so that they can really communicate with the stakeholders, but also have an understanding of the developer's side of things, because they need to prioritize work not only on the business level, but on the technical level as well, if you're working on a technical product. It doesn't mean that the product owner needs to be a developer or understand the nitty-gritty details, but at least have an overall understanding of how things might be done, because maybe there is an item that is extremely valuable and the product owner really wants to get it implemented. But based on some analysis, it becomes very complex and pretty expensive to create, so the product owner might decide to opt for a simpler solution. As you can see, the product owner is really there to understand the product, understand the user. Often in the organizations that go through an agile transformation, the success is still being measured in the old traditional terms, such as the project is delivered on time, within scope and budget. So if this same iron triangle is being applied to the product owner, and this is how his or her success is being evaluated, well, then the value delivered kind of comes to the second plan. And so the product owner, in a way, becomes a project manager. So how can we see that, and what does actually it look like? Well, in this case, the product owner becomes much more interested in things like task allocation, estimation, and delivery dates. It means that the product owner spends a lot more time trying to understand the status of things, and often being pretty overwhelmed because it's very complex and it's difficult to keep track of everything. Often, the product owners in this situation feel that everything is out of control as soon as something is not being delivered on time, as promised. And this is where you should be very careful and pay attention to your product owner and really help them get back on the right track, because if they spend so much time on worrying about delivery dates, task allocation, estimation, and all those nitty-gritty details, then he or she doesn't really spend enough time on understanding the product, understanding the customers and customer needs, and hence not really delivering most value to them. The work with your product owner starts with understanding their constraints created by the organization. If you see your product owner turning into project manager, try to first figure out what it actually created by, why is it happening, before jumping to any solutions. Well, here are the usual suspects. Your product owner doesn't really know what their role is. The organization doesn't really know what the role of the product owner is. The product is poorly defined and no one knows what it really includes. The wrong metrics are used to measure success of the Scrum team. It's not an exhaustive list, really, and there are more details that can be added to each and every of those reasons. But What you need to understand is the first thing is to always start at the basics, the foundational knowledge that you need to teach the product owner or the organization, whether it's about the role of the product owner or appropriate metrics to use. And then once you go through that basic level and understanding with everyone, then you can go into more detailed and specific actions based on what the situation is. For example, coaching your product owner and giving them new tools to be more successful. Working with the stakeholders to help them gradually delegate more authority to the product owner. Conducting a series of product workshops to have a clear definition of what your product is. Finding, introducing, and continuously collecting value metrics. What situation do you find yourself in? If you're looking for a way to help your team and organization create a clear product vision and product definition, then I have a facilitation guide for that. Check this out on my online store. It comes with an easy-to-use Miro template as well. I hope you learned something new today, and if you did, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel, as well as check out my website at ScrumMastered.com as I share even more useful resources there. I hope to see you next time. Cheers and Scrum on!